In this video, we're going to be taking a look at how we go about creating a new woodworking project for you. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a new planter, a wooden planter. And my very best video to date that I've ever posted is our wishing well video that has the most views. I posted that maybe like a year or so ago. And I do know that wooden planters of any sort are really popular to build and also popular to sell. To spruce up the outside of your home. So that's what we're going to take a look at. We're going to be taking a look at creating a new uh, woodworking planter. So let's take a look at what I found for my inspiration here. This I wanted to create some type of windmill woodworking planter, and I came across this one, and I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. Now they're using galvanized tubs for their planter boxes, but certainly we could build something similar out of wood. And the frame, they have built it out of metal, which we could certainly do. I have a welder, and we could get some tube steel and do it that way too. Or certainly we could build the same frame out of wood pretty easily, and then just build our galvanized tubs out of wood and have a really nice looking planter. And even the windmill topper, we could either buy this windmill topper for decoration, or if we wanted to make a wooden one, we could do that as well. So I kept looking and I came across this one, and I thought this was interesting as well. And this one is already all made out of wood. So you can see that there. Now it does give us a couple of dimensions here, as you can see. So it gives us some idea of scale of what this all looks like, and it does give us some details of how it's made. It looks like we could make everything out of fence picket material fairly easily. So that's another idea here. Then this is the one I think we're going to go with, is to build something like this. Now, both of these items happen to be out of stock on this website. So I don't know. This is a Bed Bath and Beyond, I guess. So I don't know how much um, these sell for. Have no clue. They just have pictures. They don't have prices. So I don't know how much these sell for, but we could figure out how much it's going to cost us to build, and then from there determine if we feel like the market would bear that cost. So just looking at this, I'm I'm thinking that just looking at this, I'm thinking that this would sell for, in my area. I'm in the Kansas City, Kansas metro area, so I'm thinking that maybe this would sell for $100 to $150 range. If it was closer to 100, I think we would sell more, but probably $150. So once we figure out the exact material cost, that'll give us a better idea of, can we make money at $100? I would like it to be $100. That's what I sell my wishing well planters for, and they sell pretty good. In terms of complexity of build, this is probably easier than creating the wishing well planter. Now, obviously, when we're building our first prototype, that's probably going to take more time. Um, but if I was batching these out, um, I think these would be pretty easily built, because there's really not a whole lot to it when you break it all down. So that's what we're making. So now we just got to put it to paper here. So let's go ahead and begin. For our first piece, we are going to make it 1.75 inches wide, and we're going to make it 60 inches tall. Now you say, why 1.75? Well, as you know, if you look at our YouTube channel, we build lots of things out of fence pickets. And usually we try to think about the material that we're using and material yield as we're doing our design work. So a fence picket is 5.5 inches wide, the fence pickets we use anyhow. And so half of that, we can get 2.5 inch sticks, or we can get 3 1 3/4 sticks. And so in this case, we don't really need our legs to be 2.5 inches wide for support stability. So that's why we chose the 1.75. We can get 3 sticks out of a 5.5 inch wide board. So that's what we're going to run with. So there is our 1.5 by 60 inches. Now, the reason I chose 60 inches is because the drawing said that the whole height was 62. So I just cut it off at 60. All right. And then we're going to rotate this 8 degrees. Now, the reason I chose 8 degrees was just because I looked at the original, and that seemed to be about what the rotation was. So that's what I went with. So now we're going to go ahead and flip this over. So now that's going to be our leg assembly. We're kind of looking at it from the end. So now what we're going to do is drag down a guideline, and we're going to duplicate that guideline. And I'm going to move this up, this guideline, I'm going to move it up, let's do 11 inches. Okay, so we'll move it up 11 inches, and then we'll duplicate this guideline on the bottom again. And this time we're going to move it up 30. I'm just kind of randomly guessing here. 30 is half a 60, so that's where I'm going to say we want our planter box to sit. So let's go ahead and we're going to rotate this here. So this is going to be our horizontal piece that our boxes are going to sit on. So that's going to sit at 11, and this one's going to sit at 30 at the bottom. Okay. So now what we want to do is we're going to take this and we're going to bring this back to here, snapping to the intersection, snapping to the intersection. Same thing here, pull this back to here, snapping to the intersection. So that's our horizontal piece of our leg. Now we do need to come up here and move that in 8 degrees. We need to move this in 8 degrees. Then we need to move this in 8 degrees and move this into 8 degrees. Now down here on the legs, we need to go ahead and move those up 8 degrees and this one up 8 degrees. Okay. Now these two horizontal boards, let's go ahead and fill those with white. Move those to the top. And that is what our leg assembly is now going to look like. I'm going to go ahead and clear out our guidelines here. So let's clear those. So that is what our leg assembly is going to look like, and obviously we're going to need 2 of those. Now, let's go ahead and put in our planter boxes. So we know that our fence picket material is 5.5 inches wide, and it is 0.625 inches tall. Okay, and we are going to go vertically here and position this one right here, and then we'll position this one right here. Okay, and then we need a piece to connect those two. All right, so what we want to do here is we'll move this from the midpoint of this to the midpoint of that, and you can see it does fit in between our legs, so we're good to go there. Then we'll move this down. Now this one we want to do at least 2 wide, ideally. So we'll go ahead and get rid of this, and this. So our bottom box is going to be twice the size of our top box. That's what we're aiming for. So let's see if that'll work. Right to the midpoint here. And you can see that too just barely fits in, but it looks like that's going to work. Okay, so that's the view from our end view. All right, so now what we need to do is, in order to draw our front view, let's go back and look at our example image here. So you see how these legs are, it looks like they're attached to the, let's see if we can get a better angle at this. I don't know that we have a better angle though. Well, not really. But anyhow, these legs are going inside the birdhouse here. Okay. So So that's what we're going to kind of do, but we got to draw the birdhouse first. So let's go ahead and get that done. So again, we're going to go 12 inches tall, and we're going to go, the width of our fence picket is 5.5. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and add a 8-degree angle. So let's rotate this 8 degrees. Okay, and then I'm going to position this right here on this line, and then we can adjust our rectangle in 8 degrees. Okay, so that takes care of that. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come over this line here. We're going to rotate it 37 degrees. Now you say, well, why 37 degrees? Well, the reason I chose 37 degrees is because we already have 8. 8 and 37 is 45. Okay, so that's why I chose that, because I think that looks like a good angle there. So let's go ahead and move that down. Okay, so there you go. That takes care of half of our birdhouse. Okay, and so that is gonna, if we flip it over, that's gonna take care of the other half. Okay, now how are we going to join these two boards together? You know, that's the thing that we have to think about when we're building stuff, is how are those two boards going to be built together? And so what we're going to do is we're going to simply, we know that we have lots of 1.75 stock. So we're going to take a board that is 1.75 thick, and we're going to connect those two boards with this board like a cleat. Okay, so we'll just double click here, and we'll move this in our 8 degrees. We'll move this in our 8 degrees, and that takes care of that. Okay, now up top here, let's go ahead and delete that. Up top here, we're going to do something a little bit different. Up top, we're going to do 5.5 inches. We are going to take that and position it right there. And then this, we're going to come right to the top here. Okay, so this is going to be held together with a full thickness of fence picket material. Now, when we actually go to build this thing, this will all make more sense to you, but just kind of follow along for right now. So what we need to do for right now, just to create those two pieces, let's go ahead and grab our paint bucket tool and just do that number there, and then we can get rid of this. Okay, and then these two pieces we can weld together. Get rid of that fill. We'll just do a regular fill. We'll give it an outline, and there you go. Okay, and then down here we will also fill that with white as well. So that takes care of that. And then to hold the windmill in place, we are going to need I'm going to go with 1/2-inch dowel. So we'll do, you could go half, or even, you could probably even go 3/4. This actual hole will probably be more determined as to what I have on hand than anything. Now, keep in mind that this is 12 inches tall overall. So probably what I'll do is have this 1/2-inch hole just below that horizontal piece. So that's at 5.5 inches. So that's probably what I'll do there, is have it just below. Now, on the original, and we could just talk about this. Let's see if I can get a picture of it here. I saw it somewhere. I know I did. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Maybe I didn't. Okay, here we go. So on this original planter, they actually have a working birdhouse. Okay, and there's actually, you can't really see it very well, but there's actually a little piece of dowel there too for the perch. Okay, so, and in the description, you can see the birds flying away. In the description, it actually talks about the fact that it's actually a birdhouse. Okay, so you could do the same. You could, if you wanted to, have this be a functional birdhouse. Now, the only thing that I don't see I don't see visually how they did it, or I don't see it in the build here. When you're dealing with a birdhouse, the birds go in, they build their nest. Every season, you have to clean that birdhouse out. Okay, so that you have to allow for some type of clean out. And what we could do is we could have our clean out, have our roof removable, and so we just pop the roof off and then clean out the inside. Or if you wanted to have a functional birdhouse, you could on the bottom here have a little hinged flap that you would just unhook, let that flap down, and then you could take the birdhouse out that way. I think that would functionally that would probably work better. You have to keep in mind that this is going to be right at 5 foot tall, so it's going to be a little bit more complicated to clean it out from the top than it would to clean it out from the bottom. Now, in my case, I'm not going to have, I might go ahead and drill a hole, and I might have a little perch there for just for looks, but as far as functionality, I don't think I'll go through the whole process of actually making the bottom hatch. I do have another idea of how we could handle the bottom hatch part of it, and we may explore that when we actually get to the building process that doesn't require hinges or anything like that. So we may talk about that when we get to it, but that's just a little sidebar there that might be interesting. So now we have our birdhouse basically complete. The main birdhouse. We do have a few other pieces that we have to add to this. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get a measurement of how long this is right here. And maybe even start here. So this is 5 3/8. Okay. So I am going to take 5 3/8, 5.375. I'm going to add 1.5 inches to it. 6 7/8. Okay, so we'll just make it 7. So you'll see what we're going to do here momentarily. So let's do 0.625 wide, 7 tall, and then we will position this right here, and then we'll change our rotation angle, and then we'll move this up, and that will become one piece of the roof there. Okay. And then we're going to do our side piece here. Now, again, I don't know how long this is, so let's find that out. That is 8 7/8. Okay, so let's make that, let's see, let me think about this. 8 7/8. Let's go ahead and make that, let's go ahead and make it 10. Let's make it 11. Let's make it 11. So I'll show you why here in a moment. So there's 11, 0.625, and this one we will move right there. Then we will change our rotation center and then rotate it to there. And then we will move this down from here. We'll move it down to there. Okay? And you can see how far that sticks out. That sticks out quite a ways, which is not what we wanted. So let's just back up a couple steps and let's make that the original 10 that I had originally thought. I think that will work just fine. So again, we'll move that there. We'll change our center of rotation. We'll rotate that into place, and then we're going to move this down to there. Okay? Now we do need to know how far down we moved it. So let's go back to parallel dimension here. Figure out what that space is. 5/8. Okay? So we will just move that down from here down. We'll move it down probably just 1 inch. Now you can see this is pretty long, but also keep in mind, remember I talked about that horizontal flap? That if we did add that horizontal flap, that would be 5/8 of an inch thick, and then that would just leave that much on the long side beyond that. And I think that's perfectly fine visually. But visually, I think this is fine, just like it is. No worries there. So let's go ahead and flip this over. Now, I think what we're going to do is this hole here, we're either going to use 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch dowel, but I think I'm going to use 3/4. So if I did that, what my thought was, if I did use 3/4 there, then I might just go ahead and take this, okay, and cap my roof of my birdhouse with a piece of 3/4 inch dowel too. And I just thought that would look kind of cute. Yeah, I don't really know if I would do that for sure or not. If I was gonna make a birdhouse, so this is another key point. If I was gonna make a birdhouse where I actually have birds flying in and out, I would want to use some silicone or some type of caulking right here, so that this ultimately on the inside would be watertight. If I just put this piece of dowel on top, that wouldn't necessarily make that 100%. Now, if the rain came down, yes, it would probably splash off of here, but it might drip down and into the birdhouse. So I would just put a couple of beads of caulk, or even a heavy bead of wood glue or something, just to cover that up. But that's just me. I would make sure that that really was watertight for the little birdies. Okay, so now our birdhouse configuration is pretty well taken care of as far as all of our sizes. Now we can go ahead and make our front view here. And so what we're going to do here is right here, we're going to take this, our birdhouse here, we're going to take it and we're going to position it right on top there. So it'd be something like that. And then we're just going to move it straight across using our shift key to move it straight across. So the height, so these legs are going to slide up this sidewall and stop at our roof panel here. That's the idea there. Okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and draw out our front view. First things first, our leg width is 0.625. Okay. Now we're doubling that up. So we're going to have it double thick, and then we're going to rotate that 8 degrees, because that's what the wall of our birdhouse was. And then this leg is going to go just like that. So you see how it's going to come up to their roof there, and that's where it's going to stop. Okay. And then so what we do have to change our length here. So that's going to go straight across there. And I think we are going to do a compound miter here. It's a little bit difficult to explain in plan view here, but just bear with me that I think we are going to add an 8-degree bevel. This way, it's going to be a compound bevel there. So, like I said, I'll explain what that actually means here momentarily. But so what we'll do then is, let's go ahead and make this adjustment with these two. So we'll bring that up to here. And then on this one, we'll bring it up to here. And then we can take a closer look at it. So we are going to add 8 degrees right there, and right there. Okay? So that is our leg. And then we are going to go ahead and I guess we'll go ahead and fill that with white. Make it slightly less complicated. Then we'll position this right tight in that corner. And so then what we'll do as far as attaching the birdhouse to the legs, you'll see that the birdhouse will just kind of slide on there. and we'll just put in a couple of screws from the outside into our leg pieces, and that will hold our birdhouse in place to our legs. Probably wouldn't necessarily even have to use screws. We could probably just use some wood glue and some staples or something, but we'll probably throw a couple of screws in there and call it good. All right, so now this is looking at it from the front. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to accommodate for these pieces here. So this is 0.625 thick and 1.75 tall, and the horizontal pieces are going to be doubled up as well. We're going to rotate those 8 degrees. And then we'll just draw a guideline over, because that's going to represent the top of those. And so this is going to go right there. And then this is going to go right there. And then we'll mirror those. And this is going to go right there. Okay? So now what we'll have to do is we'll have to create our boxes from the front view. So we have this box already. Okay. And something looks off already. Don't know what I did there. This has got to be way up here. What did we do here? That one we did correctly. Okay. All right. So first things first, we have to decide how wide our box is going to be, which in my case, I'm going to say, I don't know, 35 inches. The reason I'm going to say 35 is because our box, our picket is 72 inches. And we can, but it's a dog-eared picket. So actual material that we have to work with is slightly less. So 35 and 35 is 70. So that's why we'll go with that. 35 inches wide. That's our bottom. Okay. And then our side piece here, we won't actually be able to see this, but basically the way this box is going to be constructed is we're going to come in from the end 5/8 of an inch. So that will have, if we go back to the original, I just want to point this out. If we go back, let's see if we can get an end view. You could see here that they're flush. Okay, that end is flush. And I always like to, if I can, I always like to have it recessed. That extra little step just adds a little bit extra visual interest. And so that's why we'll go that way. I went to school for architecture and electrical engineering is what I have my degrees in. And so when we were doing building design in architecture, you'll see, if you just look around, you'll see that there are a lot of extra little details, little setbacks, they call them. And because that little setback just adds a little bit of visual interest. Doesn't have any structural thing or anything like that. It's just to add a little extra visual interest there. So we'll go ahead and group our flower box together here. And we'll call that complete. Now we do need to center this up. So we'll take our box and our birdhouse and we'll center it up there. So now that's centered. So now we can get rid of that and focus on our next box. So this would be our next box here. We'll drop down a guideline here so we can snap our box to it. So now our box is in place, but we don't want this box to be 36 inches. So our next critical dimension when we're talking about fence pickets is we can get 3 23-inch pieces out of one fence picket. So whenever possible, I try to keep that dimension in mind. So we'll make that 23 and see if we like that. Yes, well, I like that. That's as wide as we can go with our fence picket. So we'll do that. We'll do 3 of those, and then we'll do the same thing on the ends here. We'll come in 5/8 of an inch, one piece of fence picket deep. Make a copy. Okay, so that takes care of that box. That takes care of that box. I think it looks pretty good. I may decide to make this box wider. I don't know. I'm not really sure. If I do, we'll waste a little bit of material, but I don't know. I like how the amount of overhang we have down here. I'm not sure I like the amount of overhang down there. Let's go look at our inspo piece. And you can see that, I don't know, the amount of overhang there is here seems to be the same on both boxes. But it seems like our bottom box, has more overhang than our top box. So let's go back in and look at that, because maybe the key is to keep this. So let's see how much overhang this is. This has 3 3/8. Okay. So if we were to draw a line here, and then we were to move it 3 3/8, so that it had the same amount of overhang. Let's duplicate this and make a decision here. So if I move this in to here, let's ungroup that. So I bring this into here, like so. I think I'm virtually certain that's what I'm going to do, but let's just look here. And we'll just draw a rectangle that is 3.375 inches wide. Move that up right to there. Come back to here. .625. We're going to have it 5/8 of an inch inset. Okay, so now, how far is that? That is basically 28 3/8. Okay, so I think that's what we're going to go with. I don't know. Maybe we'll go with the original. Can't decide. So we'll just leave it just the way it is. I'm thinking I might go this way, though. Give me some more room for more flowers. I think I'll like it. Okay. So that is all pretty good now. We pretty much have an idea of what we're going to do for all of that. Our last thing that we need to lay out here is the actual windmill portion of it. If we go back to the inspo one, we can see that these pieces, the windmill portion of it, is just straight, like a rectangle. Okay. If we look closely, there's a 45-degree bevel on these pieces. You can see they just kind of overlap one another. And you can also see how far in from the end those windmill pieces are. So those are just different things that we're going to kind of clue in on there. Now, we don't really know how wide this is. Okay, that's one thing we don't know. But I'm going to make mine, the windmill portion, more or less the same size, half of the height difference. Okay, so this is at 62. I'm going to make these 32. That's roughly half of the height. Now, I don't know if that's going to work out, but we'll see if it does. So let's go ahead and do it. So let's draw a rectangle, and that needs to be 2.5 inches wide. and then we're going to do 32 inches long. Okay, and then we are going to take that and rotate it, and then we are going to take that and put it on our windmill. And I want the center of this to be the center of our 1/2 inch hole. And you can see here that at the bottom how far it is off of our wooden planter. You know, that's obviously one thing that's pretty critical. So let's go back and look at our inspo piece. Does it really show? You can kind of see if we were to rotate that some more, that end would be, you know, roughly probably at the same distance as what we have. I don't know if there's a better one. You can kind of see it there, how much difference there is there. So there's not a lot of difference between the two. You can see it there a little bit too. So, yep, I think that's going to work for us. So we'll go ahead and leave it at 32. I think that works. So now the next thing is let's go ahead and make a duplicate of this. The next thing is how long are those other pieces going to be? So I don't know. The short answer is let's make these 1 inch. Let's just use 1 inch, or I don't know. Maybe that should be a little bit less. Let me think here. Let's make them 7/8 of an inch thick. Maybe even 3/4. I don't really know. We're going to go with 7/8 for now. Yeah, let's do 7/8. But I don't know how far in we want to come. This is, well, this is 12 7/8 the way it is. So maybe we'll just make it an even foot. Let's see what that looks like. So if we put that, yeah, that can go right there. Yeah, that looks good. That much difference. Yep, we'll do that. So now I don't know if we look at the original inspo. Let's see here. Let's go back. Maybe this is good. All right. So if this piece is 2 3/4, we can guess that there's another piece that's 2 3/4. So let's just say that that overall right there is 6 inches. The overall is 6 inches. Okay. So this is what I want to do with mine. I'm just going to complicate this unnecessarily, but I really feel like I want to do it. So let's duplicate this piece, and I want to move it down 6 inches. So this distance should be now, yeah, 6 7/8. That's what I thought. So let's back that up 7/8 of an inch. Okay. So I want this to be, this end piece to be 6 inches. But what I want to do is I want to rotate this. I don't know how much, to be honest. Let's try 3 degrees. Let me think this through a second. Okay. We'll run with that. 3 degrees is acceptable. And then let's do 3 degrees here as well. So our piece is going to look more like this. Okay. So, but what we're going to do here, let's make this 0.875 inches wide. And let's make it 6 inches long. Okay. So at the biggest point, it's going to be 6 inches. So we're going to put that there. And then this, we're going to put this right here. This piece right here, we're going to put right there. All right. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to just slide this in here like though that, so that's at 8 degrees, or 3 degrees rather. That's 3 degrees. 3 degrees. 3 degrees. ultimately, I think this is going to make it look better. Okay. So now what we have to do is we have to offset this. And what we're going to do here to offset this, we're going to do 0.625 inches wide, because that's the width of our fence picket. Okay. And then we're going to do this piece here. And then we're just going to hit Control D, 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 offsetting all the way. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have to make this a little bit longer just so it ends correctly. So that's okay. I think we've got the width to do it. So we're going to just make that longer. And let's merge that together. Nope, that's not what we wanted to do. So that piece and this piece. Yes. Weld those two together. Yes. Okay. And then we are going to bring that back to here. Bring that back to here. There we go. And then we're going to mirror this piece and move it down to here. Then that piece there we can get rid of. All right. So we can get rid of our spacer now. And these two pieces we're going to move to the bottom. And all these up top here we're going to fill with white. Okay, now we do have to trim all these back. So we are going to have to trim all these back to there. Like so. And I think, how are we going to do this? We'll copy this one here and this one here. I've kind of worked it out in my head how I'm actually going to build this and cut all these pieces. So we'll worry about that when we get to the actual building phase of this. But then we'll go ahead and push that back to here. Now these we have to extend a little bit. Not a big deal. Then we'll push them back to the intersection. All right. So that is going to be our assembly for our blades. So we'll go ahead and just make a duplicate of that, and then we'll go ahead and position this right here, but we're going to have to rotate that. Should just be 3 degrees, and then we'll have to reposition it. So that right there is going to go right there on the end cap, but we're going to move that out maybe 0.25, something like that. There we go. So let's go ahead and duplicate that, and then we'll change our center of rotation to be right here in the middle, so that when we rotate it, and we'll put our center of rotation there again, and then our center of rotation there. Okay, so that will be what that looks like. So now we can get rid of this, and we can begin to visualize what this is going to look like, let's go ahead and group that together. And then we'll move this down, center it up. Right there. Okay. So that is what our windmill is going to look like. Okay. So now what we have to do is, now that we have it kind of all laid out the way we need it laid out, visually everything's going to look good. I'm happy with everything. So now what we have to do is just kind of lay all this out in a way to know exactly what we're going to need as far as fence pickets go. So that is our next step here. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin that process. For our boxes, we are going to need 3 pieces. We'll use this as kind of our base point here. So for that, for the first box, we have 2 sides and a bottom. Okay, and you can see here that is going to be 69 inches, so that's going to use up basically everything. And then here we are going to need, same thing, we're going to need 2 pieces. I'll move these 2 inches apart here. So we're going to need 2 pieces for our sides. And then we're going to need 2 pieces for the bottom. Okay. Now the ends, we don't have our ends. So over here, let's go back to our side view. So we don't have these pieces yet on either one. Okay. So we'll bring those over. And we need 2 of each. Okay, so this is already at 5.5. Okay, so we need 2 of each. And there you go. So there's 2 of each for the end caps for our flower boxes. So that takes care of all of our flower boxes. Now we have to deal with our leg end pieces. So we know that those are 60 inches and they are 1.75 inches wide. And we know that we need two for each leg. So we need a total of 8. We can get 3 out of 1 stick. So we'll move that down here. So there's 3. There's another stick. And another stick. So that's how I would do it. I would go ahead, now we're going to wind up with 9 pieces. But 8 of those are going to be to make up our legs. And then we have these pieces, which are our horizontals. And we need a total of 4 of these, 4 of each size, actually. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put that there. Second one there. 3, so we can get 3. And then we will go ahead and, so now we have 4 of the one size. And then we need 4 of the other. So we're only going to get 3 out of that stick. So now we're going to need another stick. Okay. And that is going to give us our 4th one. So now I'm thinking we might do this a little bit differently. Let's do it this way. So let's see here. How are we going to do this? This is all part of the puzzle too, figuring out how best to utilize our material. So let's do, so we need 8. So there's 6, 7, 8. Let's give this a little bit of a color. So that's going to be our legs. And then let's see if we can get 4 of these out of one stick, which we can. So the shorter pieces we can get out of one stick. Now the taller pieces, we'll have to have a new stick. But then we can go this route with those. All right, so we don't need those no more. Okay, so now we've taken care of our legs. We've taken care of all of our horizontal pieces. We've taken care of our boxes. So now what we need to do is our birdhouse pieces. That's what's next. All right, so let's go ahead and just bring that down to there now. Okay, and then let's see here. Let's make that 72 and this 5.5. And what that will allow us to do is see how much material that we have left here. So we have quite a bit of material left here, so we can get all the rest of this out of it. So let's begin here with our birdhouse. We know that we need 2 12-inch pieces. So I would just grab one of these here. So the 4 rather. So 12-inch pieces, we need 4 of those. So there's one. That will make up the front and back of our house. That's pretty close. We'll come back down here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then we are going to need 4 pieces that are 7, or 2 rather. Yes, that's 7 inches. You know what we didn't do, now that I think about it, is we didn't do the side view of our birdhouse. So we really need to do that. Kind of forgot about that. So let me think about it. So our birdhouse has to cover it this way, and I forgot to do that. So let's do that real quick. Shouldn't be that hard. So going the other way, we are going to, let's go to the top here. I don't know. Let's see what 5.5 inches are. So this top one is going to be 5.5. Let's do 8. Then let's do 5.5. Maybe that's wide enough. Yeah, I guess that's wide enough. That should be okay. So let's see here. All right, so this is our piece of doll for the rooftop. Then our next piece there is going to go to here. Okay. And then our next piece is going to go down to here. So no, that's not going to be wide enough. So that I didn't think about. I didn't think about how deep our birdhouse was going to have to be. So, complicates things a little bit, but not too bad. I gotta think this through a second here. So, probably doesn't need to be that deep though. But maybe it does. Okay, so that's going to be 7. Okay. All right. I think I got this figured out where it's going to make some sense here. So this piece is going to move back to there. This piece is going to move back to there. We are going to, so this is now 11 inches, so this will grow to 13 inches. Okay, so there we go. And that will now all work. I'll explain how all this is going to go together when we get there. So, but this piece is going to be 11 inches. So we got our 4 pieces for the front of our birdhouse. Now we're going to do our sides. So that's going to be one side, that's going to be the other. But we need 2 of these essentially. So those are 11 inches. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 8 pieces that are 11 inches. That's what we need. 8 pieces that are 11 inches. So let's see what we could do here. We'll come down here. We'll do 8 pieces that are 11. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we'll pop over here. We'll get 7, 8. There's 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that takes care of that. Now there is one other piece that is 11. One other piece that is 11. And we can't get it out of any of that except if we move these pieces up. Then we can get one more 11 here. That'll work. So we can get the extra 11 there. So that works. And then, kind of to finish this off, we're going to need probably 1 picket to do all of that. Maybe not, though. All right, so let's go ahead and get rid of these guides here. So now we're going to need 1 picket, 32 inches by 2.5 inches. And so we're going to need a total of 4 of those. So that will take a whole picket. And that will be our windmill pieces. Okay. And then we're going to need a bunch of these pieces. So let's duplicate that. And let's go with our parallel dimension and see how far this is. So from there, let's see here. Well, let's see. Let's rotate this 3 degrees. That will give us that. Now we can just do a horizontal dimension from yim to yon. Okay, that's 13 inches. So this is only 7/8 of an inch wide though. So we'll have to start a new. So that is 13 inches, and then this is 0.875, only 7/8 of an inch thick, and we need 2, 4, 6, 8 of those. So we'll come down here, we'll move that over 2 inches. All right, so now we can duplicate this. We can definitely get 4 wide out of one 5.5 inch fence picket. We can really get, let's see here. Can we get 6 wide? Maybe. Really, realistically, we can only get 5 wide though. So then we need, so we need a total of 8. So let's just assume we're only going to get 4 wide then. Keep the math simple here. We can get 5 wide, but we'll just say we can only get 4 wide. Okay? And then the longest point of this, the longest one is 6 inches. So and then the short one is only 4. So we're going to say we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9. 9 times 4 is 36. So we need 36 pieces 6 inches long. So we'll do 6 inches, and then we need 36 of them. So we can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them wide. So then there is 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. And yes. And then we'll do one more stack over here. Okay. So now we have all of our pieces for, in fact, we could probably just do the extra one right there. So with all of those, that's 35 of them. And then we need one more, which is 36 right there. Okay. So there you go. Those are all of the pieces that make up our windmill. So I have, one of the reasons I use CorelDRAW is I created a little tool that will add all the dimensions in there for us. So all of these things here, we can go in and just add our dimensions. So I know what I'm dealing with here. Same thing here. $60, $60, $60. So now I have all of my dimensions. I'm not going to worry about these dimensions here because those are really tiny pieces. But there you go. So now I know I got to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to need 11. So I'm going to say 12 fence pickets. We'll just throw in an extra one. 12 times 250. Let's do the math real quick. 12 times 2.50. Pickets aren't quite that much, but pretty close. So $30. So it's going to cost me $30 in material to make this, and then to build it, we're basically looking at 3 hours. Okay, and kind of what I do is I think of my shop time at $25 an hour. We're going to give ourselves 3 hours to make it, so that will be 30 plus the 25 an hour. So you're right at $110 total to make it. So not too bad. We're pretty close on target. That's why I said that $150 range. That's kind of where we want to be at. So I think I'll be happy with that. We might be able to shave some of that time off. But for the first one, it's definitely going to take us a little bit of time. But then beyond that, we should be good to go. So there it is. To kind of to finish this off, then, as far as giving me the dimensions that I need, I'm going to need. So what dimension am I going to need to make this? I am going to need this dimension. Okay, I'm going to need this dimension. This is the long side of it. Okay, I'm going to need to go with parallel here. I'm going to need this dimension. And then I'm going to need this dimension. And then we already have the big dimension. Okay. So that will kind of take care of that for us. We could throw this dimension in, which is the depth of our birdhouse. And then over here, it will help us to have that dimension. We're going to need this dimension, right? What else are we going to need? We'll need this dimension, length of our flower boxes here. And I think one other thing that we might want to do is we might want to dimension, because I might put a cleat at the bottom of my flower box to be on either side of this. So we might decide to do that. Not sure what. That flower box is not exactly sitting where it should be. It should be sitting right there. And this should be over here. And then we could get that dimension. So horizontally from right here to there, right at 8 inches. And then over here, right at 4 3/4. Okay, so we'll take a look at that if we decide we need those cleats or don't need those cleats. So then probably what I'll do here is I will go ahead and hit that resize button, and that will resize those to fit a page, and then we will resize those to fit a page. See there? And so now we can print that out, and we have our plans to put this together. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed this process, and then we'll go over to SketchUp and do a 3D model of all this, of how I think it's all going to go together. And then, yeah, then we could go ahead and get to building. Thanks for watching.